topic is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. And before that, Vishnu Prabhu will introduce in brief. Vishnu Prabhu, please start the introduction.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you. So first of all, thank you very much, Kalakantha, His Grace Kalakantha Prabhuji. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll give a brief introduction about Prabhuji. So since 2015, His Grace Kalakantha Prabhuji has been the GBC Minister of Cow Protection and Agriculture. Born in Brazil from a family farm and agriculture process, son of a Cambridge PhD professor and researcher, he has worked and visited almost all ISKCON farm communities in the last 27 years, and he holds a degree in agriculture. His Grace Kalakantha Das believes in the power of producing food. He is building an educational program around abundant Krishna conscious living with cow protection and regenerative agriculture, and currently runs the ISKCON Continental Farm conferences cycle with the help of vibrant continental networks. These networks of representatives are already established in Europe, North and South America, Russia, Ukraine, India, and are expanding. He is based out of Sri Dham Mayapur, India. So we once again welcome His Grace Kalakantha Prabhu and thank him for joining us. Now I request Prabhuji to please continue the lecture.
Hare Krishna, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hold on.
Vishnu Prabhu, remove the screen. Vishnu Prabhu, remove the screen. Remove that screen.
Okay, now I'll share something with all of you for our class today. Yes. Hold on. Just a moment. Well, thank you for having me here again. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. It's a very good group dedicated to studying Shastra, and we have a very sweet Sangha here. So we didn't get a chance to finish, so I got to come back again and speak to all of you. Okay, so everybody has their Caitanya Charitamrita with you? Yes?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
We're going to need it. So I'm going to share a screen with you before we start. Yes. Here we are. Okay. And I am going to have it here. Hold on. Right. Can you see it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So, okay. So we start by saying a little prayers together. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya
Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta
Vrinda.
So I'm going to chant 4 times. I'll chant once, and then Vishnu repeats, and then the next time Jivanuga Prabhu repeats. Each one repeats 1 time. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Your turn.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jivanuga.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Nitai Go Haribo. So
Haribol,
now we got the
Haribol.
blessings of the Sri Panchatattva to understand these transcendental topics of the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Leela. So let's go on. Last class, I'm going to make a very short review and then we get to today's class. We recited this verse, Sri Chaitanya Prabhum Vande Balo Piyad Anugrahat Tare Nanamata Graha Yaptam Siddhanta Sagaram. We read this verse together. Anybody has a clue what it could be?
Yeah, this is the first verse.
Yes, and it says like this. Vishnu Prabhu, can you read that for us?
Yes, Prabhuji. I offer my obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even an ignorant child can swim across the ocean of conclusions about the ultimate truth, which is full of the crocodiles of various theories.
Yes, and we did see the various theories of crocodiles which could be out there. And so I thought we would read the summary of this verse, of this chapter together. And then after we read this, we can do like this. Each one reads one line, so it's very dynamic. We are 7, are we? We are Tarun, we are Sankaranya Prabhu, Disha Mataji, Kakun Mataji, Jivanuga Prabhu, and Vishnu. So each one reads one, and then we move on. Start by Vishnu here.
Point number 1, Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself.
Jivanuga Prabhu.
Number 2, Brahman effulgence is the bodily lustre of Lord Chaitanya.
See, the Brahma effulgence is just the luster of his body. Mataji Kakun, number 3. Yes, now we can
Paramatma
hear
is
you.
his partial representation. The Purusha avatars are also explained in this connection.
Thank you. Thank you. Disha Mataji.
Mahavishnu is the reservoir of all conditioned souls.
See, so he's the reservoir of all conditioned souls. Very good. Sankaranya Prabhu.
Lord Krishna is the ultimate fountainhead, the source of numerous plenary expansion, including Narayana.
Yes, and then Tarun Prabhu. Are you there?
Tarun Prabhu,
Tarun Mondal Prabhu, you're being called. Hare Krishna. Okay, so Shankaranya Prabhu, could you read number 6? He's getting ready.
Narayana is generally accepted by Mayavadist philosophers to be the absolute truth.
So, okay, so this is 6 of the conclusions. And notice here that the author is trying to show the supremacy of Lord Krishna and the non-difference of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, so this we go to the second summary page, which is here. Yes. We start by Vishnu again.
The Lord's manifestations are explained. Prabhava and Vaibhava expansions, partial incarnations, incarnations with delegated powers.
Okay.
number 2, Lord Krishna's ages of boyhood and youth are discussed.
Okay.
A, his age at the beginning of youth, his eternal form.
The spiritual sky, the Vaikunthas, are manifestations of the Supreme Lord's internal energy.
Beautiful.
Innumerable material universes are similarly exhibited by his external energy.
Very good.
The living entities are manifested by his marginal energy.
Okay. So here, this is all that this chapter will talk about. So now we'll start by, we've discussed this, and he was very good at, Krishnadas Kaviraj is a poet. So even though he was an elderly man, and he got the task of writing the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he didn't want to do it, but out of service, he did. And so now we're going to hear his continuation of that beautiful explanation. Okay? Oops, sorry. So now in verse number 70, he is explaining how Krishna is the ultimate source of all incarnations. Disha Mataji, can you read this for us? Yeah. We don't know sound. Okay, so let's have Jivanuga Prabhu, you have sound. Can you read this?
Yes, Prabhuji. All the incarnation of Godhead are plenary portions or the parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars. But the primable Lord is Sri Krishna. He is the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, fountainhead of all incarnations.
This is a very important verse because here Krishnadas Kaviraj is going to tell us how Krishna is established by the scriptures as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now here, this verse, remember, it's very important. So let's go on. Okay, I'm going to ask different devotees here to read the verses, right? Okay, who wants to do this one?
An opponent may say this is our interpretation, but actually the Supreme Lord is Narayana, who is the transcendental realm.
Right. So he's in opposition to this argument he just put. Can you continue, Shankaranya Prabhu?
He, Narayana, incarnate as Lord Krishna. This is the meaning of the verse, I see it. There is no need for further considerations.
Okay, so now the doubt has been put. And we see many times people in India consider that Krishna is one of the incarnations of Vishnu. He's not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but actually he's just one incarnation. And this topic is going to be discussed. Now, the author brings a very important concept here. And Vishnu, I want you to read this slide, which talks about subject and predicate.
Sure, Prabhuji. In English grammar, we use the word subject to talk about the person or thing, a noun or pronoun that does the action. Usually that means that the subject comes before the verb. A predicate is the part of a sentence or a clause that tells what the subject is doing or what the subject is.
Okay, can you give an example of a simple sentence with a subject and an object?
Let's say if I am playing kirtan music, I will be the subject, and I'm playing the kirtan. Playing the kirtan music will be the predicate, Prabhuji.
Exactly, right? And specifically the object is kirtan. Playing is what you're doing with the kirtan, right? You're playing kirtan. Okay, yes? Am I right?
Yes.
Or am I wrong?
Actually, so person or the thing that does the action is the subject.
Subject, it's you.
Yeah, it's me. And
the predicate?
Predicate is the rest of the sentence, like playing the kirtan music.
Yes, there's an action plus an object, right? So here he's talking, okay, the predicate is the second part. Perfect. Okay, is that all clear? It's a very important concept to understand. Is that clear, Disha Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Shankaranya Prabhu, all clear?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Very good. So let's move on. Now here, he's going to speak about that. So let's take turns. Jivanoga Prabhu, you can start.
The author's refutation. One should not state a predicate. One should not state a predicate before its subject, for it cannot thus stand without proper support.
Mm-hmm.
Should I read also?
Yes, read the
below
whole slide.
75?
It has to be easier.
Okay. If I do not state a subject, I do not state a predicate. First, I speak the former, then I speak the latter.
Mm-hmm.
And 76, the predicate of a sentence is what is unknown to the reader, whereas the subject is what is known to him.
Okay. All right. Very good. So he's going to give a good example for that. Kokon Mataji, can you read that for us?
Yes, Prabhu. For example, we may say, this Vipra is a greatly learned man. In this sentence, the Vipra is the subject and the predicate is his erudition.
Okay, so erudition is a learned man has erudition. So that's the predicate, the object. And the subject is the Vipra, right? Fantastic.
Yeah.
So now we all get our Chaitanya Charitamritas and we're going to read verse 78 to 90. Each one reads a verse and we'll do it the same as we did last class. It was very good. Verse 78. Hold on. It's almost, yes. Okay. I think is it Disha's Matajit's turn?
Yes.
Okay. 78, right?
The man's being a Vipra is known, but his erudition is unknown. Therefore, the person is identified first and his erudition later.
Fantastic. Next verse, 79. Shankaranya Prabhu.
Prabhuji, there is nothing to show on this, nothing visible in this.
You have a book,
Huh?
Prabhuji, or you can access the database, Prabhu. Sankarayana Prabhu, you have book?
I have to take out the book.
Or you can
better
access
I-
to database.
Okay,
You can
so
access
since
the
you're
database.
looking for it, is
Prabhu,
Tarun
should
with
I
us?
do the screen share so that everybody can read from the screen only the verses?
Yes. You want to share the? Yes, please do the screen share with the database, please.
Okay, Prabhu.
Put a little bigger on your computer. You can do the view, and you can increase the font a little bit, Mataji Disha, so it will be very nice to read.
Vishnu Prabhu, how to increase the
You can click on control button and plus button 2 times you can press. It will increase the font.
It's not increasing.
Okay, I'll
That's
do one
okay.
thing.
Can
I will
Can
share
you
my
read? Can you all read?
No.
Is it possible to read? Okay.
Let me share my screen, Mataji, one second.
Okay, you don't need the full verse. You can just put like she did, just not the purport, just the verses.
Just
Yes, chapter 2. You go to verse number 78.
Yes, just make it font bigger.
Yes. Right. Very good. Okay. Excellent. All right. Very good. So, Shankarani Prabhu, it's your turn. Verse 79.
The man's being a Vipra is known, but his erudition is unknown. Therefore, the person is identified the first and his erudition later.
Okay. One more. Read one more.
In the same way, all these incarnations were known, but whose incarnation they are was unknown.
Aha, this is a great technique of preaching. Like he's using grammar to explain this very interesting point about Krishna. Okay. Vishnu Prabhu?
First, the word ete, these establishes the subject, the incarnations. Then the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars follows as the predicate.
Okay. Jivanuga Prabhu?
In the same way, when Krishna was first counted among the incarnation, specific knowledge about him was still unknown.
Okay. Kalakun Mataji, this is the sequence. Vishnu, Jivanuga Prabhu, Kalakun, Mataji, Krishna, Shankaranya. This is the way we're going to read, okay?
Text 82. Therefore, first the word Krishna appears as the subject, followed by the predicate, describing him as the original personality of Godhead.
Fantastic.
This establishes that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. The original personality of Godhead is therefore necessarily Krishna.
Wonderful.
Had Krishna been the plenary portion and Narayana the primeval, then the statement of Suta Goswami would have been reversed.
Thus he would have said, Narayana, the source of all incarnations, is the original personality of Godhead. He has appeared as Sri Krishna.
Excellent.
Text 86. Mistakes, illusion, cheating, and defective perception do not occur in the sayings of authoritative sages. Authoritative sages.
Very good.
Text 87. You say something contradictory and become angry when this is pointed out. Your explanation has the defect of a misplaced predicate. This is an unconsidered adjustment.
Only the personality of Godhead, the source of all other divinities, is eligible to be designated Swayam Bhagwan or the primeval Lord.
Yes, the primeval Lord here is being established as Sri Krishna, as the Swayam Krishna. And this is a very important verse because now he is concluding what is there. Someone wants to sell us something, Vishnu, right? Okay, so
can you go ahead, Prabhu, or should I stop?
89, yes.
When from one candle may others light, I consider that one the original.
Okay, beautiful verse, so poetic, huh? And verse 90 finally, Vishnu.
Krishna in the same way is the cause of all causes and all incarnations. Please hear another verse to defeat all misinterpretations.
Okay, so now he has concluded this part of his explanation where he uses the predicate and subject argument to defeat the idea that Krishna is an incarnation of Narayana, because he says it's not logical that this so perfect speaker would say something reverse when it was meant that Krishna is the origin of all incarnations. Now he's going to use another argument, which I'm going to bring for you. I will share my screen, Vishnu Prabhu, if you allow.
Yes, Prabhuji, yeah.
And then we go back to our, yes. So now we are going back to our next slide. Okay. And just a second, let me see if I made a little, yes, okay. In this verses which we discussed, oh yes, the 10th subject of Srimad Bhagavatam, here we are. Verses 90 to 96. Now he's going to present a very good argument, which is the 10th subject of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And as you all know, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the scripture which was left by the Acharyas in the absence of Krishna to represent himself. Actually, Arjuna, when he is lamenting because Krishna has left the planet, and he goes to Yudhishthira Maharaj, And they have this beautiful conversation. Arjuna says, and now what's to be of us? Alas, we lost. Krishna has left the planet. And he's informed that the Srimad Bhagavatam is left to enlighten us. So this very Srimad Bhagavatam is the scripture which the 6 Goswamis, specifically Jiva Goswami, is going to say this book is the supreme book about the Vedic knowledge because it explains the pastimes of Krishna. And now in this Srimad Bhagavatam, there's 10 subjects, and he's going to use that argument to tell us about, once again, how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes? Now, before we do read, from this audience, does anybody know any of the subjects mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam? We can all read very soon, but from your minds, any subjects?
Creation, how creation happens, and
How the creation happens? Yes?
The
Then
Sankhya
secondary
philosophy.
creation. Then
Sorry,
secondary
Shankaraya
creation.
Prabhu,
First
can you say
creation.
that again?
The secondary creation.
The secondary creation of Brahma, yes. Shankaraya Prabhu, what was that your idea?
Sankhya philosophy, Prabhuji explained.
The Sankhya
Based on-
philosophy, well, it comes through the whole Bhagavatam, but the Sankhya philosophy is one of the tools used to explain the Bhagavatam. Yoga is used, Vedanta is used, logic is used. So Vaisheshika, all the tools of the Vedas are used to explain this incredible knowledge. But I don't think it's one of the topics yet. Any other ideas?
Prabhuji, the various like astronomy and what planets, how it is revolving.
Yes, and that is called the creation and the ingredients of the cosmos. You're right. Okay, let's read it together. If we all take the verses 91 to 92 in our books, you want us to share the screen also? Vishnu, Prabhu.
yes, Prabhuji.
Let's have your screen again with us.
Yes, please.
Right. Okay.
Do you want me to read it, Prabhuji?
Yes, why not? Go ahead.
Here in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 subjects are described. The creation of the ingredients of the cosmos, the creations of Brahma, the maintenance of the creation, special favor given to the faithful, impetuses for activity, prescribed duties for law-abiding men, a description of the incarnations of the Lord, the winding up of the creation, liberation from gross and subtle material existence, and the ultimate shelter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 10th item is the shelter of all the others. To distinguish the ultimate shelter from the other 9 subjects, the Mahajanas have described these 9 directly or indirectly through prayers or direct explanations.
Okay, so here he comes with a very powerful argument that all the topics of the Bhagavatam is dependent on the creator, which is defined as Sri Krishna. So he is the origin of all the energies and sources. Wonderful. Okay, so now let's follow our sequence. Shivanuga Prabhu, text 93. We're going to read until text 96.
Text 93. To know distinctly the ultimate shelter of everything that be, I have described the other 9 categories. The cause for appearance of this 9 is rightly called their shelter.
Wonderful.
Text 94. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the shelter and abode of everything. All the universes rest in his body.
Very good.
The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam reveals the 10th object, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of all surrendered souls. He is known as Sri Krishna, and he is the ultimate source of all the universes. Let me offer my obeisances unto him.
Beautiful. And Shankaranya Prabhu?
One who knows the real feature of Sri Krishna and his three different energies cannot remain ignorant about him.
Yes, this is very good. This is very good. So let's continue to verse 97. Vishnu, can you read that?
The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna enjoys himself in 6 primary expansions. His 2 manifestations are Prabhava and Vaibhava.
Very good. So now I want you to click on the verse. So the purport will appear. Yes. Right. And now let's read this purport. It's important purport. And
Now the
would you
author
like
of
to
Sri
read it?
Chaitanya
Yes, go ahead.
Now the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita turns to a description of the personality of Godhead Krishna in his innumerable expansions. The Lord primarily expands himself in 2 categories, namely Prabhava and Vaibhava. The Prabhava forms are fully potent like Sri Krishna, and the Vaibhava forms are partially potent. The Prabhava forms are manifested in relation with potencies, but the Vaibhava forms are manifested in relation with excellences. The potent Prabhava manifestations are also of 2 varieties, temporary and eternal. The Mohini, Hamsa, and Shukla forms are manifested only temporarily in terms of a particular age. Among the other Prabhavas who are not very famous according to the material estimation are Dhanvantri, Rishabha, Vyasa, Dattatreya, and Kapila. Among the Vaibhava Prakasha forms are Kurma, Matsya, Naranarayana, Varaha, Hayagriva, Prishnigarbha, Baladeva, Yagna, Vibhu, Satyasena, Hari, Vaikunta, Ajita, Vamana, Sarvabhauma, Rishabha, Vishwakshena, Dharmasetu, Sudhama, Yogeshwara, and Brihadbanu.
Brihadbanu. Fantastic. Now I'm going to share a screen with you, which is important. It is, just a second. Before I do share my screen, I need to put on the other. To exit this one. And yes, now I can share it. Right. Now. Just a second, I'm almost there. I'm going to show you a chart which you all have received. Can you all see? Let me try to increase the view here. Can you all see? Yes?
The font size is very low, Prabhuji.
Very small, huh? Yes, exactly. Yes. But you all have it. It's very small. This from ISKCON Desire Tree. Basically, it's showing these 2 important elements. Sri Krishna as the Swayam Rupa, he's the original cowherd boy of Vrindavan. Okay? And then from him, there are expansions, like the Rasa dance, or when Lord Brahma steals the calves and cowherd, and he expands himself. And then there's the Vaibhava Prakasha, which we read. There are many different incarnations on that. And here comes the Vilasa incarnations, which leads to the Chatuvyuha. Chatuvyuha, these 4 forms of Krishna, very important, which is, you remember them? The Chatuvyuha?
Yes, Prabhuji. Sankarsan, Pradyumna, Sankarsan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, or Vasudev.
Yes, these are the 4 Prabhava Vilasa of the Lord, and they are responsible for Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Okay? Sankarshana is the Sambandha, Aniruddha is the Abhideya, and Pradyumna is the Prayojana. Okay? So these deities also are manifest in Vrindavan as the different deities. Radha Govinda, is the Abhideya, engages us in devotional service. And then you have two others of Vrindavan, which are very famous.
Radha Madan Mohan
Gopinath.
and Gopinath.
Gopinath is
Yeah,
our
Gopinath and Radha Madan.
Radha Damodar.
Prayojan.
Yes. Gopinath is Prayojana. And who is the Sambandha?
Radha
Radha.
Govind.
Radha Madan Mohan.
Radha
Radha
Madan.
Madan.
Because Radha Madan Mohan as Sambandha, Radha Govinda as Abhideya, and Radha Gopinath as Prayojana, the object of love. Radha Govinda engages us in devotional service. Well done. So this is, so we can have a picture, because sometimes we're so confused by this. Even I was, when I saw this chart, made very clear of all the different incarnations of the Lord. So this is not the main focus of this chapter. It's used as an explanation. So I'm not going to focus on this fully. We're going to just have a quick look at that. And hold on, let me just, I have to change something here to go back. Yes, to go back to that. Sorry, now to share this screen. Just a small moment, we're almost there. Yes. Okay, so we saw the chart, how Krishna is the origin of all the incarnations. And now we're going to move on to another verse which explains Krishna as Maya Shakti, as the different energies of coming from Krishna. This is verse 102. It's not written here, but verse 102. Shankarani Prabhu, can you read this?
The external energy called the Maya Shakti is the cause of innumerable universes with a varied material potencies.
Okay, so now he's describing that. And I brought this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse actually is from the Chatuvyuha, the four most important verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse is talking about how Krishna explains, oh Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it's not with relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Look how this verse is very important, because this verse is saying that there appears to be no value in the material energy. So we think Maya is useless. We don't care about Maya. Maya is useless, right? And it's true, because it appears to have no value if it's without relation to me. And Srila Prabhupada will many times say, if you don't have a connection to Krishna, it's useless. Even Sri Chaitanya, even Krishnadas Kaviraj said this in the beginning of the verse of this chapter. If you don't have a relation to Krishna, that existence becomes not so useful. But here in this verse, Krishna is saying it appears to be of no value because that energy is eternal and has value connected to him. It is us who think this material world is for my enjoyment that loses the value of this energy as an energy to serve Krishna. So know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. So Maya is not in, Maya Devi is not in darkness. She is a servant of Krishna, but her servant is to do two things which you don't like very much: to cover our eyes and then to push us down. So someone is getting very famous, very rich, is very successful, and all of a sudden he gets covered. He thinks he is the person who is responsible for all that success, all that fame, all that money, all that power. And then when he's thinking like this, Maya Devi comes and pushes that person. And that person's fall into, again, repeated birth and death. Okay? So she appears to be in darkness because she's dealing with the material world, which is considered the world of darkness. But she is not into darkness. So much so that she came to Lord Gauranga and she said, look, nobody likes me because I have to keep people in darkness. I have to push them down. So no saintly person will want my association. So I'm deprived of your association. So if you go to Jagannath Mandir, you see Shamantini Devi is when Gauranga is giving his association to her. So what is the message? If you use the energy of Krishna for his pleasure, then that energy becomes enlightened. That energy becomes the source of ingredients for you to serve Krishna in a very expert way. So here, again, as described in the Maya Shakti, it's important to know that energy, because if you understand it, then you think, I'm not the controller or enjoyer of this energy. I'm the servant. And by serving, then we become enlightened and life becomes very good. Okay? Vishnu Prabhu.
Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes.
Excellent. Jivaloka Prabhu.
Text 108. You know that all conclusions of the scriptures.
106,
Yes, Prabhu?
no? This is
108, Prabhu.
08?
No, 108, yes, Prabhu.
Does the person by Shri Krishna?
Asha, 106, I will write. Okay.
Yes. Yes,
thus, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the original primeval Lord, the source of all other expansions. All the revealed scriptures accept Sri Krishna as the supreme Lord.
And here the author is coming to a conclusion. Okay? The verse 109, Kokon Mataji, can you read this?
That same Lord Krishna, the fountainhead of all incarnations, is known as the son of the king of Braja. He has descended personally as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay, so let's say this verse in the Bengali written. Say Krishna Avatari Bajendra Kumara. Everybody?
Shri Krishna
Avatari Bajendra Kumara
Apane Chaitanya Rupa Kaila Avatara.
Apane Chaitanya Rupe Kaila Avatara.
That same Lord Krishna, the fountainhead of all incarnation, is known as the son of the king of Raj. He has descended personally as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? And this is more or less the conclusion of the message of this verse. But this chapter stresses a few points, and we're going to see them. Shankarani Prabhu, can you read this for us?
Because Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya is not different from Lord Krishna, he is the cause of all causes. There is no cause beyond him. He is eternal. His form is spiritual.
Right, he established that. And Vishnu Prabhu, what is the takeaway from this chapter?
That a devotee who wishes to advance in Krishna consciousness must have knowledge of Krishna's personal form, his three principal energies, his pastimes, the relation of the living entities with him.
This is the important takeaway. That's what we need to know to get out of this material world. So this chapter is giving us the ingredients to get free from this material world. By reading together the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we're reminded that by understanding Krishna's form, like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, his three principal energies, what are his pastimes and the relationship with us? By this, we actually understand who he is, and we advance, and then we are free to go. We are free to go back to Godhead. You want to go back to Godhead?
Yes.
Is that your plan?
Yes.
Let's go, Mataji.
Yes,
You want to be with Krishna? Then Shvetadvip in Harinam. Tarun Mondo, I haven't heard you. You want to go back to Godhead? What about you, Vishnu? Are you already there or you want to go there?
I want to go there, end of this life, Prabhuji. No more coming back.
No more coming back. Okay, excellent. No more coming back. So, what is your homework? I want you to read again from verse 97 to 211 and then read all the chapter again. Because like this, you have a good absorption of this chapter. What is meaning here? Okay? And then we have a few questions. If you want, we can have a few questions. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributing freely the holy names and bhakti, which is this incredible thing about his pastimes. Okay, so we may have some questions if you like. We still have some minutes.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. So please ask question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Prabhuji, please explain once more. I have heard many times about this Sambandha, Prayojan, Abhide. So I want to, but I did not understand.
Okay, so it's very easy. You see, Sambandha is your identity, who you are. Okay? So let's think about your life. So who is Kokon Mataji? Who is Kokon Mataji?
She is human being, female in form.
Okay, so all of this that you're telling me is just Sambandha. You're in a female body, you're Vaishnavi, you're married to a good husband, right? I get some points for tonight. You have a good daughter. She is also getting some good points for you, Disha. And in this Sangha, you're serving the Sangha. All of this is just Sambandha, right? Where do you want to go in the future?
Back to Godhead.
You're going to go to the, so that's your prayojan, that's your goal. You want to go back to Godhead. Fantastic. So to go back to Godhead, what does Kokun Mataji have to do?
Practice Krishna consciousness.
That's your Abhideya. Understand? So Sambandha is you, who you are. Prayojana is where you want to be. And Abhideya is what you need to do to get there. It's a process. So for us, I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. That's my real Sambandha. But sometimes I think I'm tall, I'm short, I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm nice, I'm not nice. All this is our not eternal Sambandha. But your final Sambandha is your servant of Krishna. And what are you looking for? I want to go back to Godhead. That's your prayojana. And how are you going to do it? Practicing devotional service and reading Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's books and biography like we are doing. So this is very much what we need to do to go back to Godhead. Is it clear?
Yes, but Prabhu, how are the deities connected with this?
That's a very good question. Well, when you go to Vrindavan, Radha Madan Mohan will help you to understand that you are a spiritual soul. Radha Govinda will tell you how to engage in loving devotional service. Everybody who I served first, my first deities was Radha Govinda. There's so much service, you can't even chant your japa. We got up in the morning, there's so much service. In the evening, we are at 9 o'clock, Hare Krishna finishing because we got engaged from early morning until night. See, Radha Govinda is always engaging you. And Gopinath is telling you the relationship with Lord Gauranga and Lord Nityananda. That's your goal. And all the rasas is getting there. Okay? So when you're in front of these deities, each one has a special Krishna is everything at once. That was in this verse said. But at the same time, he has the different features. Is that okay? Clear? Any more doubts on that? But this is a big subject because how Krishna expands in his Chaturvyuha form, and each one, Sankarsana is part of that. And Sankarsana, actually, you see how it is? Sankarsana is an expansion of Balaram. And Nityananda is the same Lord Balaram. So Lord Nityananda is the one who allows us to lose our false identity with this material energy. So when we do that, now you can progress and start thinking about your relationship with Krishna and who is Krishna. But the first impediment is, I think, I am this body, I belong here, I'm from India or from Brazil or that. But that's all false identifications. It's Lord Nityananda who is right here. Can you see him? I'm touching his lotus feet. Lord Nityananda here. It's his mercy that allows us to cut this false identification with the body. And when that's gone, now I can practice very nicely. And I can understand Krishna very nicely. I can understand Krishna's energies and pastimes very nicely. Then my prayojan is open. Okay?
Prabhu, if you please explain that how Lord Nityananda helps us to cut our connection with the material energy.
First, all the spiritual masters are an expansion of Balaram, therefore an expansion of Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda will help you to find the spiritual master. And then the spiritual master will bring you closer to Lord Nityananda. So here's the trick. When you're in front of the Panchatattva, you say, "Oh Lord Nityananda, please allow me to become closer in service to Srila Prabhupada and my Guru Maharaj." And when in front of your Guru Maharaj, say, "Oh Guru Maharaj, please let me be closer to Lord Nityananda." So like this, one is pushing to the other, and then you advance very quickly. Is that okay?
Yes.
Very good. Any other question? We still have 5 minutes.
Prabhuji, in Chaturvyuha, you have also said Sambandha, Avidya and Prayojan. Please repeat that, Prabhu. Chaturvyuha, Sankarsan, Aniruddha, Padumna, and Vasudev. You also tell that something, Sambandha, Avidya, Prayojan. Please repeat once more, Prabhu, so that I note down.
Yes. Sankarshan is your Sambandha deity, right? So your identity,
Okay.
everything comes from there. Aniruddha is your process. He's responsible for the process. And Pradyumna is your goal. But these deities are very dynamic. Okay, let's say you're in Mayapur and it's very difficult to walk long distances. So you think, okay, I need to buy a scooty. Everybody now is buying scooties in Mayapur, right? So then you start to look for a scooty. You start to think about a scooty, which brand is better? Should it be battery, petrol, blah, blah, blah. You go around. What is the price? All these things. Right, Vishnu?
Yes, yes.
And then you choose one model. Yes, I'm going to buy this model, right? So what is the process to acquire that motorcycle? I'm asking you, Vishnu.
So first you have to think about what is your requirement and budget, and then
That's your Sambandha.
among,
okay.
And then once you find see the models, you choose one of them based on that requirement.
Okay.
And then you actually use that. You buy it and use the.
You buy it, right? So you need the money. So the process of getting the scooty is you have to go to the shop and you have to have the cash. Either you worked or your father gave you. Then you give to the seller. He gives you the bike. And now you reach your prayojan. You have a scooty, correct? Now that's the funny thing, because now you go back to Sambandha. How do I drive? How do I park? You need to learn again, all this knowledge about it. Then you learn that, and that, you see? So everything we do starts at Sambandha, moves to Prayojan, goes back to Sambandha. And like this, we are always going back and forth. Because once you get it, it's not your go anymore. You have it. Understand?
Yes,
Now that you have the scooty, right? It's yours. It's not a go anymore. It's yours. Now what you have to learn is how to use it, how to keep it, how to maintain it, la la la. Correct? So it came back to Sambandha. You have to learn all these things. And then
Yes, Prabhuji.
these things become your goal. I have to learn to ride my scooty. I learn how to maintain my scooty. And when you learn that, that becomes Sambandha again. So what do I want to say? What do I want to tell you? When you want to buy a new scooty, it's so fresh, it's so new, and everything is great. The air, you're driving, you feel speed, and time is nice because you can move very conveniently. People look at you and says, oh, Vishnu is doing really good. He's got this very beautiful scooty. But after you have it, you have it. The pleasure starts to finish. And as you use it, it's finishing more and more. And after some time, that pleasure which you felt is gone. So now you need a new pleasure. So the material world is really based on giving you a new pleasure. You had this scooty, get away, get a new one. You have this computer, this is old, you need a new one. Your mobile phone, oh, that's very old, you need a new one. And like this, the whole world is trying to get, but as soon as they get it, it becomes Sambandha again. Now your experience has to start from the beginning. But if you understand your original Sambandha, that does not go away. You do some service, that remains. You don't need a new model of service. You can serve the same way. The same incense you circle, the same way you circled 5,000 years ago. You don't have a new system of circling the incense. It's in the same system. A ghee lamp, you put fire, it lights. And when you serve Krishna, that experience remains with you forever. You never lose it. So, what am I trying to say? When we don't understand our real Sambandha, we look for temporary identities and temporary pleasures, and they cannot remain forever there. So we have to get a new experience. So our whole life, we're trying to get experiences because we have not connected to the ultimate source of all experiences, with the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, chanting the holy names in the holy Dham, and that pleasure of reading scriptures and discussing scriptures. That is the real goal. So when I attain that, that does not go away. That does not change with time. The same nectar we are having, reading this, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana, they were thinking about other scriptures that we can read today, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita and having immense pleasure like we are having. He did not need a new book and a new book and a new book, the same book. The Bhagavad Gita was being read by Rupa Goswami and by us, and is giving us so much pleasure. The Srimad Bhagavatam. You understand what I'm saying? Because they talk about the original Sambandha, the eternal Sambandha, your identity as a servant of the servant of the servant of the one who serves the gopis. That is the real treasure house. Is that all right?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, on that sweet note, I think we're going to end my participation for the second chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila. What is the name of the chapter? Who remembers it?
Chaitanya
Not
Mahaprabhu,
Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality
the
of
Supreme
Godhead.
Personality of Godhead.
See, there he is, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone, thank you very much. It was wonderful
very
being
much,
with all of you. I hope I can still
Prabhuji.
be a servant sometime.
Yes,
We'll
yes, Prabhuji.
pray.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you so much.
Hare Krishna, Srila
Thank you,
Prabhupada
Prabhuji.
ki.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat.